fact remains that within every world of cancer, there are conflicting and different ideas, right? And there is a huge gap in knowledge. You know, most people think, like my son was 6 years old when I was diagnosed, and he said to me, "Don't worry, mommy, I'll come visit you when you live in the cemetery." And I was like, "You little bastard. Why am I going to live in the cemetery?" And he was like, "Well, because you have cancer. And lots of people with cancer die." And I was like, "And a lot of them don't, damn it. I'm not going to die. Now do your homework." And he was like, ah. Like he just wanted to not do his homework. But the fact remains that in his mind, cancer equals death. And unfortunately, I know 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, all who think the same thing. So there's a huge misconception out there for something that is basically going to happen to 1 out of 2 of us in our lifetime. And you don't get it until they tell you you have it. And then you go, how could I have been so wrong? Look at the things I did in the past. Like, you know, and I get it. You know, the biggest emotion people hit you with when you tell them you have cancer is pity. And pity is the most useless emotion because it doesn't change your day. You feel bad for me because I have one tit, right? You walk away from me and you already forgot about it. You're already thinking about how much your life sucks, even though you've never been told you had cancer. So pity is basically what we hand out to cancer patients. We don't want pity. We want jobs. We want support. We want someone to come bring us freaking dinner. Can someone bring me dinner? Seriously, I don't want to cook tonight. We want people to call us up just to be like, hey, what's up? We don't want you to walk away from us when you see us walking down the street. It ain't contagious, okay? What I have will not spread to you if you're kind. You could just say, hey, how are you? How are you doing? You know, something that, you know, is kinder than, oh my God, that's Lisa, she's got cancer. I don't know what to say. I'm just going to run away, you know? And unfortunately, we go through that. We lose people. People treat us differently. You know, people just don't know how to react. And the sad reality is that you have a 50% chance of being in my shoes. And you have to recognize that you need to have a team. You need to know where to go and what to do. And what better way to know than someone who's been through it before and can tell you all the things that they screwed up on and what they needed to do differently.
So on my last radiotherapy session, I asked the nurse, okay, can I take a few pictures of mine? I took my boxing gloves out and I posed with boxing gloves against the machine, showing, okay, I'm gonna knee, I'm gonna elbow, kick, everything. It looked like a littlest fight in the machine. Just to, okay, I did it. And then I had my hand raised. Not the world champion of Muay Thai, but a champion of beating cancer. And what an amazing experience that has been for me. I've even now been asked to speak at various events that have got nothing to do with cancer, but just to help motivate and inspire people. And I found that, you know, through cancer, that has been the journey and my mission in life, to help make a difference in people's lives through inspiration.
My wife and I both approached it with all the faith in the world that God was going to bring us through and heal me. We believe that God works all things together for good. And we didn't know what, we didn't know how, we didn't know why, but all we did was trust God and knew that whatever happened, good would come out of it. So that's the way we approached it. As far as the community, you know, I can't say enough. We live in a small town of 2,500 people, and the community has been magnificent. I mean, I had to go to chemo every other week for 2.5 years, and my wife never had to drive me. We had people that drove me 50 miles, or it was round trip, it was 75 miles, every other week for 2.5 years. And it was just incredible. We never had to worry about that. If I had to get somewhere else and my wife couldn't take me, somebody would come and drive me. Because I couldn't drive. I was too weak. I couldn't drive out of town. We had a lot of help from the local merchants. My daughter put together a benefit, and we had donations from all the businesses in town for that benefit. And the benefit was extremely successful to help pay. My medical bills were pretty well covered by my insurance, but travel and the transportation and the gap in, you know, hotel rooms and things like that It just was amazing what the community did, and they still, you know, they've watched as I've healed, and they've watched as I got stronger and stronger, and they've seen what God has done in my life. It is pretty amazing, the testimony that has come out of it.
So fortunately, that Sunday, right after the diagnosis, I was at Sunday school, and I asked my class to pray for me, and a man was visiting. And afterwards, he came up to me, and he told me with all the confidence and authority, I guess, that I could see in anyone, he said, did you know that if you change the way you eat radically, you will have more than a 20% chance of living beyond 5 years? And I kind of asked, I said, what do you mean? And so he began to tell me that if I would drop all refined sugar, switch to a plant-based diet, and look, and do some research on superfoods and do some other things. I mean, there was a whole anti-cancer lifestyle that he was trying to explain to me. Then I would have a greater chance. Well, I really thought he sounded like he was speaking another language to me. I could not connect with that whatsoever. But he gave me a list of things that I needed to look up and some links to some websites. And then the next week when I came back, he said, did you go and look at what I told you? And I said, no. So this went on for week after week, probably about a month. I just had no faith whatsoever that anything other than chemotherapy or radiation could help me. And finally, the man was expending so much energy and concern, and I didn't want to, I just felt like it was only fair and polite for me to really look at it, give it an honest look, and then go back to him and tell him thank you. But I did not expect to be impressed or convinced in any way. So I sat down on my computer one day, and I don't remember, I wish I'd journaled exactly what I looked up the first time and just the steps that I went through. But that first day, I'm sure I started with sugar. I'm sure I started typing in, cancer and sugar. This cancer feeds sugar. And then it was just one thing led to another. And I began on that first Saturday, I began reading stories from people all over the world. Young people, old people, people with all kinds of cancer that were actually doing better. They were either living longer or they were reversing cancer through an integrative approach, sometimes conventional only, sometimes integrative, and sometimes holistic only. But there was a common theme or a common thread that kept going through everyone's story. And that was when people dropped refined sugar and switched to a plant-based diet. Now that could mean that they still eat some meat, but they make it more their side dish, and they make sure it's clean, free of hormones and antibiotics and things like that. And if they changed their mental and emotional state when they decided to be positive and listen to maybe classical music and do yoga or exercise and deep breathing and forgiving and loving and self-love and self-care. When people began to do a lot of these things, they were seeing amazing results.
And then my surgeon tells me, I almost knocked him out while he was operating. And I'm like, but I told you, I might knock you out. I'm a Muay Thai fighter. If you're going to try to hurt me, I'm going to protect myself. He wasn't impressed.